96 and won silver and bronze in Sydney in 2000. But as soon as I retired in 2004 and then started searching for what I was going to do next. And I've always been a huge track and field fan. So broadcasting immediately became the thing that I started to head towards. But broadcasting wasn't going to be enough for me. And I started to kind of create this sort of niche where I literally go all over the planet and go into communities and talk to kids about putting down the Xbox and the PlayStation 3 and the Nintendo Wii and getting out of the house on the field. Because I think a lot of kids still look up to the Usain Bolts and so on of the sprint world, of the track and field world, but they don't understand that it's impossible to become an Olympic athlete sitting inside. And I tell them all the time, We Fit doesn't count. So, as Sally said, one place that I've never been to kind of spread my message is Australia. So between Athletics Australia and the Commonwealth Bank and people who felt like this could actually do some good, we put this program together. And more importantly, I'm going to get Nova out of that office that she works in because I'm a kind of a hands-on kind of person. As I said, I broadcast. If there's a meet on in the United States, I'm on it. As soon as I get back from here, I go back to do the Penn Relays. I've done the Beijing Olympics already for NBC, the World Championships last year in Berlin. But I'm very much a hands-on person. So Nova and I have some really, really big plans, in particular with the indigenous people of this country, to the point where I'm like, Nova, if it means that I have to live in Australia for half of the year, I will do it. Because I feel like when she tells me the stories and she tells me the situation, it's I don't even want to say it's an untapped area, but it simply is. Someone has to identify something that needs to be done, and instead of just talking about it, commit to it and put in the hours necessary. I'll give you an example. I retired in 2004 and everybody said, well, he's only 30, he'll be back. And the first thing I went out and did is went and got my pilot's license because I knew that was going to keep me away from ever making that comeback. But the other thing I did is I commuted every month from Los Angeles, where I lived at the time, to Trinidad and went into every single high school in Trinidad. Now, why did I do that? I did that because there were a whole bunch of people with a whole lot of really pretty plans drawn up on very nice paper about what should be done and how can we get the mentors into the school. Well, I got myself, called up Brian Lara, called up some other Olympic sprinters, called up some other cricketers, some footballers, and we went into the schools every single week. And I can tell you, the reward that I got, didn't make a dime doing it, but 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road now, 5 years down the road now, when I run into somebody who sat in one of those lectures and said, you know what, man, at the time, I wasn't really feeling really good about high school, and just seeing you guys up there, all four of you guys in my school, it kind of, it got me back on the right track. That was all the reward that I needed. So I understand very, very clearly how important it is to not just talk about it, but to execute some of the plans, especially when it comes to young people. That's the one thing that I've always found in my life. Always, always, always has great, great, great rewards. Not to mention self-fulfillment. So here I am. I'm in Australia. I was here in 2000 for the Olympics. I was here in 2001 for the Goodwill Games, the last Goodwill Games before they died. And here prior to 2000 to do stuff with Adidas leading up to the games. And my mother, I can tell you, is of the opinion that the Olympics should be in Sydney every year. It's just her opinion. She's a big Australia fan, as am I. Of course, she went to Beijing and she seemed to have had a really good time last 2 years ago in Beijing. But for me, I tease Nova all the time. I'd love to come to Australia more. You just got to pull it closer to the United States. But to be quite honest, my flight over here was good, so I think it bodes well for me moving forward and doing more stuff in the communities here. But how you guys can help is to identify some of the young ones that you know who are already special. When I was 6 years old, this guy came to my father and he said, "Your son has a gift." My father, being my father, said, yeah, look at how skinny little boy is. He's not going to do anything. But the guy was right. And of course, he tells that story over and over and over. So I'm telling you that story to say, every one of you in here knows that little kid who's like, this kid is, and it may not necessarily be track and field. You know this kid who is good at fill-in-the-blank sport. You do that kid a disservice by not spreading that word. Because I can tell you, pick the athlete in any sport. Somebody spotted something early, and then that kid got passed on to somebody who could develop him. I don't care where you're talking about, Messi or Ronaldo or Usain Bolt, anybody. Name the athlete that's a household name today. Somebody had to know him from the community level, pass that on to another level, and then somebody said, okay, yeah, you're right, and the rest, as they say, is history. So I'm excited to be here despite the fact that I feel like I'm sleepwalking because it's the middle of the night my time, because, you know, I think Nova and I are going to be able to do good things. She has, like me, a lot of passion when it comes to her people and helping kids in general, not to mention Australia. And I think combining that with the fact that I am not going to, as I said, allow her to get comfortable. Sometimes this can be, you know, put it this way. It would be very nice for me to be in room service in my hotel room right now. But I understand, you hit the ground, you get it done, you rest when you're dead. And that's why I'm here. And I think that that side of my personality will help Nova, as I said, you know, get from behind that desk and let's get out there and, you know, and get stuff done. Questions?
You said, like, you know, you're a big advocate for pushing for recognising kids' talent early.
Yeah.
What about those kids that are a bit older, like, you know, they've learned sport, but, you know, they want to try and into sport a bit later, like 12 or so?
Well, for every kid who is a phenomenon from age 6, I can tell you of one who maybe was not, you know, is the exact opposite, who developed very late. And even though that guy spotted me at 6, I didn't really get discovered in terms of track and field until I moved to New York. So it doesn't matter the age. It doesn't matter the age. I guess I need to clarify what I said by saying this. It may be a kid who is special because he is good for his age, or it might just be a kid who's good. It doesn't matter, you know, if it's maybe later on. But you know, please, if you feel like you know that kid or it's a kid in your community, get that information to somebody who can help. If it's if it's a swimmer, then get it to somebody who at least can come and evaluate and say, well, no, he's not. The kid's not as good as you think, or absolutely you're right. The kid is maybe even better than anything they've seen before. Yeah.
I'm a teacher and I find it difficult to, if I've got a student I know is really gifted,
Yeah.
but they're just lazy, like what's the best approach that you
Most of the gifted ones are lazy.
Laziness in what terms though?
like they don't want to push themselves. They do things maybe once out of three times, we might go for a run and they're really good, and other times they're just there walking and talking, but I know the potential's there.
I encounter this all over the planet. That's human nature. If I am 10 times better than everybody else, then guess what? I can function at 1/10 of my capacity and be even with everybody. I can tell you that the way I usually deal with that is by reminding some of those kids that the worst thing is an adult walking